Welcome to our channel, Uncle Blogger, which will show you the events of today and every day for 366 days. Stay with us for the next year. This day is 5 of January. And the historical events for this day. In 1477, Battle of Nancy, Charles the Bold is defeated and killed in a conflict with René II, Duke of Lorraine. Burgundy subsequently becomes part of France. 1675, Battle of Colmar, there, French army beats Brandenburg. 1757, Louis XV of France survives an assassination attempt by Robert François d'Amiens, the last person to be executed in France by drawing and quartering, the traditional and gruesome form of capital punishment used for regicides. 1781, American Revolutionary War, Richmond, Virginia, is burned by British naval forces led by Benedict Arnold. 1875, the Palais Garnier, one of the most famous opera houses in the world, is inaugurated in Paris. 1895, Dreyfus Affair, French army officer Alfred Dreyfus is stripped of his rank and sentenced to life imprisonment on Devil's Island. 1900, Irish nationalist leader John Edward Redmond calls for revolt against British rule. 1911, Kappa Alpha Psi, the world's third oldest and largest black fraternity, is founded at Indiana University. 1912, the 6th All-Russian Conference of the Russian Social Democratic Labour Party, Prague Party Conference, opens. In the course of the conference, Vladimir Lenin and his supporters break from the rest of the party to form the Bolshevik movement. 1913, First Balkan War, the Battle of Lemnos begins. Greek Admiral Pavlos Kounteriades forces the Turkish fleet to retreat to its base within the Dardanelles, from which it did not venture for the rest of the war. 1914, the Ford Motor Company announces an 8-hour workday and minimum daily wage of $5 in salary plus bonuses. 1919, the German Workers' Party, which would become the Nazi Party, is founded in Munich. 1925, Nellie Taylor Ross of Wyoming becomes the first female governor in the United States. 1933 – Construction of the Golden Gate Bridge begins in San Francisco. 1941, Amy Johnson, a 37-year-old pilot and the first woman to fly solo from London to Australia, disappears after bailing out of her plane over the River Thames, and is presumed dead. 1944, the Daily Mail becomes the first major London newspaper to be published on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. 1945, the Soviet Union recognizes the new pro-Soviet Provisional Government of the Republic of Poland. 1949, in his State of the Union address, United States President Harry S. Truman unveils his Fair Deal program. 1950, in the Sverdlovsk air disaster, all 19 of those on board are killed, including almost the entire national ice hockey team, VVS Moscow, of the Soviet Air Force, 11 players, as well as a team doctor and a masseur. 1953, the play Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett receives its premiere in Paris. 1957, in a speech given to the United States Congress, United States President Dwight D. Eisenhower announces the establishment of what will later be called the Eisenhower Doctrine. 1967, Cultural Revolution. The Shanghai People's Commune is established following the seizure of power from local city officials by revolutionaries. 1968, Alexander Dubček comes to power in Czechoslovakia, effectively beginning the Prague Spring. 1969, the Venera 5 space probe is launched at 06:28 hours 8 minutes UTC, from Baikonur. 1969, Ariano-Afghan Airlines Flight 701 crashes in Fernhill, West Sussex, while on approach to Gatwick Airport, killing 50 people. 1970, the 7.1 MW Tonghai earthquake shakes Tonghai County, Yunnan Province, China, with a maximum Mercalli intensity of X, extreme. Between 10,000 and 15,000 people are known to have been killed and about another 26,000 are injured. 1972, U.S. President Richard Nixon announces the Space Shuttle. 1975, the Tasman Bridge in Tasmania, Australia, is struck by the bulk ore carrier Lake Illawarra, killing 12 people. 1976, the Khmer Rouge proclaim their Constitution of Democratic Kampuchea. 1976, the Troubles, gunmen shoot dead 10 Protestant civilians after stopping their minibus at Kingsmill in County Armagh, Northern Ireland, UK. Allegedly is retaliation for a string of attacks on Catholic civilians in the area by loyalists, particularly the killing of 6 Catholics the night before. 1991, Georgian forces enter Skinvali, the capital of South Ossetia, Georgia, opening the 1991-92 South Ossetia War. 1991, Somali Civil War. The United States Embassy to Somalia in Mogadishu is evacuated by helicopter airlift days after the outbreak of violence in Mogadishu. 1993, the oil tanker MV Drey runs aground on the coast of the Shetland Islands, spilling 84,700 tons of crude oil. 2005, the dwarf planet Eris is discovered by Palomar observatory-based astronomers, later motivating the International Astronomical Union, IAU, to define the term planet for the first time. 2014, a launch of the communication satellite XSAT-14 aboard the GSLV Mk2D5 marks the first successful flight of an Indian cryogenic engine. And about those born today, 1209, Richard, 1st Earl of Cornwall, English, Prince, nominal King of Germany. 1530, Gaspar de Bono, monk of the Order of the Minims. 1548, Francisco Sers, Spanish priest, philosopher, and theologian. 1587, Zhuxiaq, Chinese geographer and explorer. 1592, Shah Jahan, Mughal Emperor. 1620, Miklos Zrinyi, Croatian military commander. 1640, Paolo Lorenzani, Italian composer. 1735, Claude Martin, French-English general and explorer. 1767, Jean-Baptiste Say, French economist and academic. 1779, Stephen Decatur, American commander. 1779, Zebulon Pike, American general and explorer. 1781, Gaspar Flores de Abrego, 3 terms mayor of San Antonio, in Spanish Texas. 1793, Harvey Putnam, American lawyer and politician. 1808, Anton Fuster, Austrian priest and activist. 1834, William John Wills, English surgeon and explorer. 1838, Camille Jordan, French mathematician and academic. 1846, Rudolf Christoph Hucken, German philosopher and author, Nobel Prize laureate. 1846, Mariam Bawadi, Syrian Roman Catholic nun, later canonized. 1855, King Camp Gillette, American businessman, founded the Gillette Company. 1864, Bob Carruthers, American baseball player and manager. 1867, Dimitrios Ioannaris, Greek lawyer and politician, 94th Prime Minister of Greece. 1871, Frederick Converse, American composer and academic. 1874, Joseph Furlaner, American physiologist and academic, Nobel Prize laureate. 1876, Konrad Adenauer, German lawyer and politician, Chancellor of West Germany. 1879, Hans Seppinger, Austrian physician and academic. 1880, Nikolai Medtner, Russian pianist and composer. 1881, Pablo Gargallo, Spanish sculptor and painter. 1882, Herbert Bayard Swope, American journalist. 1885, Humbert Wolff, Italian-English poet and civil servant. 1886, Marcus Rayner, Israeli physicist and engineer. 1892, Agnes von Kurowski, American nurse. 1893, Paramahansa Yogananda, Indian-American guru and philosopher. 1897, Kiyoshi Miki, Japanese philosopher and author. 1900, Yves Dangai, French-American painter. 1902, Hubert Bouve-Méry, French journalist. 1902, Stella Gibbons, English journalist and author. 1903, Harold Gatty, Australian pilot and navigator. 1904, Jean Dixon, American astrologer and psychic. 1904, Erika Morini, Austrian violinist. 1906, Kathleen Kenyon, English archaeologist and academic. 1907, Volmari Isoholo, Finnish athlete. 1908, George Dolans, Italian-American actor. 1909, Lucien Bloch, Swiss-American sculptor, painter, and photographer. 1909, Stephen Colclean, American mathematician and computer scientist. 1910, Jack Lovelock, New Zealand runner and journalist. 1911, Jean-Pierre Aumont, French actor and screenwriter. 1914, Doug Dates, Australian rugby league player. 1914, George Reeves, American actor and director. 1915, Arthur H. Robinson, Canadian geographer and cartographer. 1917, Francis L. Kellogg, American businessman and diplomat. 1917, Wieland Wagner, German director and producer. 1917, Jane Wyman, American actress. 1919, Hector Abhiyavardhana, Sri Lankan theorist and politician. 1919, Saverino Gazzelloni, Italian flute player. 1920, Arturo Benedetti, Michelangelo, Italian pianist and educator. 1921, Friedrich Dürrenmatt, Swiss author and playwright. 1921, Jean, Grand Duke of Luxembourg, Luxembourgish soldier and aristocrat. 1921, John H. Reed, American politician and diplomat, 67th Governor of Maine. 1922, Anthony Synott, Australian Admiral. 1923, Sam Phillips, American radio host and producer, founded Sun Records. 1926, Veikko Karvonen, Finnish runner. 1926, W. D. Snodgrass, American poet. 1926, Hosea Williams, American businessman and activist. 1927, Shivaya Subramaniaswamy, American guru and author, founded Iravan Temple. 1928, Imtiaz Ahmed, Pakistani cricketer. 1928, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, Pakistani lawyer and politician, 4th President of Pakistan. 1928, Walter Mondale, American soldier, lawyer, and politician, 42nd Vice President of the United States. 1929, Olli Sritkonen, Finnish footballer and manager. 1930, Kevin Considine, Australian rugby league player. 1931, Alvin Ailey, American dancer and choreographer, founded the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theatre. 1931, Alfred Brendel, Austrian pianist, poet, and author. 1931, Robert Duvall, American actor and director. 1932, Umberto Eco, Italian novelist, literary critic, and philosopher. 1932, Chuck Noll, American football player and coach. 1934, Phil Ramone, South African-American songwriter and producer, co-founded A&R Recording. 1934, Murli Manohar Joshi, Indian politician. 1936, Florence King, American journalist and memoirist. 1936, Terry Lineen, New Zealand rugby player. 1938, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Kenyan author. 1939, M. E. H. Maharuth, Sri Lankan politician. 1940, Athol Ghai, Australian singer-songwriter and bassist. 1941, Bob Cunees, New Zealand cricketer. 1941, Chuck McKinley, American tennis player. 1941, Hayao Miyazaki, Japanese animator, director, and screenwriter. 1941, Manzoor Ali Khan Pataudi, Indian cricketer and coach. 1942, Maurizio Pollini, Italian pianist and conductor. 1942, Charlie Rose, American journalist and talk show host. 1943, Mary Caudron, Australian lawyer and judge. 1943, Mutters Kurtsilava, Georgian footballer and manager. 1944, Caroline McCarthy, American nurse and politician. 1944, Ed Rendell, American politician, 45th Governor of Pennsylvania. 1946, Diane Keaton, American actress, director, and businesswoman. 1947, Mike DeWine, American lawyer and politician, 70th Governor of Ohio. 1950, Ion Piculanu, Romanian historian, philosopher, and author. 1950, Peter Goldsmith, Baron Goldsmith, English lawyer and politician, Attorney General for England and Wales. 1950, John Manley, Canadian lawyer and politician, 8th Deputy Prime Minister of Canada. 1950, Chris Stein, American guitarist, songwriter, and producer. 1952, Uli Hoeneß, German footballer and manager. 1953, Pamela Sue Martin, American actress. 1953, Mike Rann, English-Australian journalist and politician, 44th Premier of South Australia. 1953, George Tenet, American civil servant and academic, 18th Director of Central Intelligence. 1954, Alex English, American basketball player and coach. 1954, Laszlo Krasner Hakai, Hungarian author and screenwriter. 1955, Mamata Banerjee, Indian lawyer and politician, Chief Minister of West Bengal. 1956, Frank Walter Steinmeier, German academic and politician, 14th Vice-Chancellor of Germany. 1957, Kevin Hastings, Australian Rugby League player. 1957, George Morocco, Australian Rugby League player. 1958, Ron Kittle, American baseball player and manager. 1959, Nancy Delahunt, Canadian curler. 1960, Glenn Stromberg, Swedish footballer and sportscaster. 1961, Iris Dement, American singer-songwriter and guitarist. 1962, Susie Amis, American actress and model. 1962, Danny Jackson, American baseball player and manager. 1963, Jeff Fassero, American baseball player and coach. 1965, Vinnie Jones, English, Welsh footballer and actor. 1965, Stuart Raper, Australian Rugby League player and coach. 1965, Patrik Sjöberg, Swedish high jumper. 1968, Carrie Ann Inaba, American actress, dancer, and choreographer. 1968, Joe Juneau, Canadian ice hockey player and engineer. 1969, Marilyn Manson, American singer-songwriter, actor, and director. 1969, Shawn Michel, American golfer. 1970, Nigel Gaffey, Australian Rugby League player. 1971, Stian Carstensen, Norwegian multi-instrumentalist and composer. 1972, Sakis Rouvas, Greek singer-songwriter, producer, and actor. 1973, Uday Chopra, Bollywood actor and filmmaker. 1974, Iwan Thomas, Welsh sprinter and coach. 1975, Bradley Cooper, American actor and producer. 1975, Warwick Dunn, American football player. 1975, Mike Grier, American ice hockey player and scout. 1976, Diego Tristan, Spanish footballer. 1977, Gavin Lester, Australian rugby league player. 1978, January Jones, American actress. 1979, Kyle Calder, Canadian ice hockey player. 1979, Giuseppe Giblisco, Italian pole vaulter. 1980, Luke Bailey, Australian rugby league player. 1980, Brad Mayers, Australian rugby league player. 1981, Deadmore 5, Joel Thomas Zimmerman, Canadian musician. 1982, Janica Kostelic, Croatian skier. 1984, Derek Atkins, Bahamian sprinter. 1984, Matt Boleyn, Australian rugby league player. 1984, Bronx Goodwin, Australian rugby league player. 1985, Filinger Filiga, New Zealand rugby league player. 1985, Diego Vera, Uruguayan footballer. 1986, Deepika Padukone, Indian actress. 1987, Dexter Bean, American race car driver. 1987, Stuart Flanagan, Australian rugby league player. 1988, Azul Hasniawang, Malaysian track cyclist. 1988, Luke Daniels, English footballer. 1989, Christian Nemeth, Hungarian footballer. 1990, Mark Nichols, Australian rugby league player. 1991, Denis Alibek, Romanian footballer. 1993, Stefan Zadzinski, Canadian race car driver. 1994, Lachlan Fitzgibbon, Australian rugby league player. 1994, Tyrone Phillips, Australian rugby league player. 1995, Tofafoa Sipley, New Zealand rugby league player. 1996 James Fisher Harris, New Zealand rugby league player. And about the deaths today: 842, Al-Mu'tasim Abbasid Caliph. 941, Zhang Yanhan, Chinese Chancellor. 1066, Edward the Confessor, English King. 1173, Boleslaw IV the Curly, High Duke of Poland. 1382, Philippa Plantagenet, Countess of Ulster. 1400, John Montacute, 3rd Earl of Salisbury, English politician. 1430, Philippa of England, Queen of Denmark, Norway and Sweden. 1524, Marko Marulic, Croatian poet. 1527, Felix Manz, Swiss martyr. 1578, Giulio Clavio, Dalmatian painter. 1580, Anna Sibyl of Hanau-Lichtenberg, German noblewoman. 1589, Catherine de' Medici, Queen of Henry II of France. 1713, Jean Chardin, French explorer and author. 1740, Antonio Lotti, Italian composer and educator. 1762, Empress Elizabeth of Russia. 1771, John Russell, 4th Duke of Bedford, English politician, Secretary of State for the Southern Department. 1796, Samuel Huntington, American jurist and politician, 18th Governor of Connecticut. 1823, George Johnston, Scottish-Australian colonel and politician, Lieutenant Governor of New South Wales. 1845, Robert Smirke, English painter and illustrator. 1846, Alfred Thomas Agate, American painter and illustrator. 1858, Joseph Fritzsche von Raditz, Austrian field marshal. 1860, John Newman, Czech-American bishop and saint. 1883, Charles Thompson, Australian poet and public servant. 1885, Peter Christen Asbjørnsen, Norwegian author and scholar. 1888, Henri Hertz, Austrian pianist and composer. 1899, Ezra Otis Kendall, American professor, astronomer and mathematician. 1904, Carl Alfred von Zichtel, German paleontologist and geologist. 1910, Leon Walras, French-Swiss economist and academic. 1917, Isabel Lillian Gloag, English painter. 1922, Ernest Shackleton, Anglo-Irish sailor and explorer. 1933, Calvin Coolidge, American lawyer and politician, 30th President of the United States. 1942, Tina Modotti, Italian photographer, model, actress, and activist. 1943, George Washington Carver, American botanist, educator, and inventor. 1951, Seo Jae-pil, South Korean American journalist and activist. 1951, Andrei Platonov, Russian journalist and author. 1952, Victor Hope, 2nd Marquess of Linlithgow, Scottish colonel and politician, 46th Governor-General of India. 1952, Hristo Tatarchev, Bulgarian-Italian physician and activist. 1954, Rabbit Maranville, American baseball player and manager. 1956, Miss Dingett, French actress and singer. 1963, Rogers Hornsby, American baseball player, coach, and manager. 1970, Max Born, German physicist and mathematician, Nobel Prize laureate. 1970, Roberto Gerard, Catalan composer and scholar. 1971, Douglas Shearer, Canadian-American, sound designer and engineer. 1972, Tevfik Aras, Turkish physician and politician, 6th Turkish Minister of Foreign Affairs. 1974, Lev Oberin, Russian pianist and educator. 1976, John A. Costello, Irish lawyer and politician, 3rd Taoiseach of Ireland. 1978, Wyatt Emery Cooper, American author and screenwriter. 1979, Billy Bletcher, American actor, singer, and screenwriter. 1979 Charles Mingus, American bassist, composer, band leader. 1981, Harold Urey, American chemist and astronomer, Nobel Prize laureate. 1981, Lanzardo Vasto, Italian poet and philosopher. 1982, Hans Corrid, American actor. 1982, Edmund Herring, Australian general and politician, 7th Chief Justice of Victoria. 1985, Robert L. Surtees, American cinematographer. 1987, Margaret Lawrence, Canadian author and academic. 1987, Herman Smith Johansson, Norwegian-Canadian skier. 1990, Arthur Kennedy, American actor. 1991, Vasco Popa, Serbian poet. 1994, Tib O'Neill, American lawyer and politician, 55th Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. 1997, André Franquin, Belgian author and illustrator. 1997, Burton Lane, American composer and songwriter. 1998, Sonny Bono, American singer-songwriter, producer, actor, and politician. 2000, Kumapon Ambalam, Sri Lankan Tamil lawyer and politician. 2003, Roy Jenkins, Welsh politician, Chancellor of the Exchequer. 2004, Norman Heatley, English biologist and chemist, co-developed penicillin. 2006, Merlin Rees, Welsh educator and politician, Home Secretary. 2007, Momofuku Ando, Taiwanese-Japanese businessman, founded Nissan Foods. 2009, Griffin Bell, American lawyer and politician, 72nd United States Attorney General. 2010, Willie Mitchell, American singer-songwriter, trumpet player, and producer. 2010, Kenneth Noland, American painter. 2012, Isaac Diaz-Pardo, Spanish painter and sculptor. 2012, Frederica A. Gomez, American author, playwright, and screenwriter. 2013, Qazi Hussain Ahmad, Pakistani scholar and politician. 2014, Eusebio, Mozambican Portuguese footballer and manager. 2014, Carmen Zapata, American actress. 2015, Jean-Pierre Beltoise, French racing driver and motorcycle racer. 2015, Bernard Joseph McLaughlin, American bishop. 2016, Pierre Boulez, French pianist, composer, and conductor. 2017, Jill Seward, English rape victim and activist. 2018, Asghar Khan, Pakistani 3-star general and politician. 2018, Thomas Bopp, American astronomer best known as the co-discoverer of comet Hale-Bopp. 2018, Karen von Oldingen, German ballerina. 2019, Bernice Sandler, American women's rights activist. 2019, Dragoslav Sekularak, Serbian footballer and manager. 2021, Colin Bell, English footballer. 2021, John Georgiades, English, violinist and composer. 2022, Kim Mi-soo, South Korean actress and model. This video was made by Uncle Blogger, and do not forget to press the subscribe button until you receive